Here's something strange. Some of the smartest, most curious people you'll ever meet are also the ones who can never just sit down and do the work. Not because they don't care, not because they're lazy. Something happens the moment they try to focus, and it has almost nothing to do with discipline. If you've ever opened your laptop with full intention to work, and 10 minutes later realized your mind had gone somewhere else entirely, without asking your permission, this is for you. Because what's about to make sense isn't a productivity problem. It's something much deeper, and once you see it, you'll never look at your own mind the same way again. The scientific diagnosis. Over a century ago, the psychologist William James described attention as the act of pulling one single thought out of dozens of possible ones and holding it still. He called it the most fundamental act of the mind. What he didn't know yet, because the science didn't exist, was what happens when that holding still mechanism breaks down. Modern neuroscience has a name for the part of your brain responsible for this. It's called the salience network, and its only job is to constantly ask one question: what deserves my attention right now? For most of human history, this kept you alive, alert to danger, alert to opportunity, alert to change. But your salience network doesn't know it's the present day. It still treats every notification, every open tab, every passing thought as a potential signal worth checking. In an environment built to interrupt you 40 times an hour, that ancient alert system never gets a moment of peace. It's not that you can't focus, it's that your attention is being pulled in 100 directions by a system that's just doing what it was built to do, in a world it was never built for. The origin story. But there's something more personal happening too. For a lot of people who struggle to focus, this isn't new. It didn't start with smartphones. If you grew up needing to read a room, sensing tension before it surfaced, noticing the smallest shift in someone's tone, staying alert because something unpredictable might happen, your salience network learned a lesson early. It learned that noticing more was safer than noticing less. So it calibrated itself for breadth instead of depth, for scanning instead of settling. This isn't a personality flaw. It's not a character weakness. It's a mind that was trained, often without you ever choosing it, to treat almost everything as potentially important. The cost is that focusing on one single thing, one task, one sentence, one conversation, can feel almost unnatural, like asking a smoke detector to ignore smoke. The two types. And here's where it gets more specific, because can't focus usually means one of two very different things. The first type is what we'll call the wanderer. The wanderer's mind drifts toward anything more stimulating than the task in front of them. A boring task barely registers before their hand is already reaching for the phone. But hand a wanderer something genuinely interesting, and they can disappear into it for hours. The second type is the looper. The looper doesn't drift toward novelty. Their mind locks onto one single thread and won't let it go. A conversation, a decision, a worry, replaying it over and over while the actual task sits untouched in front of them. Two completely different experiences. One brain keeps searching for something more. The other brain can't stop circling something it hasn't resolved. But both are the same root system, expressed in opposite directions. A salience network that's either too easily pulled away or too tightly locked on. The trap. And here's the part that explains why this is so exhausting. Both types feel busy. The wanderer feels busy. 14 tabs open, 3 apps switched between, a dozen tiny tasks half started. It looks like productivity. It feels like motion. The looper feels busy too. Their mind never stops working on something, even if it's the same unfinished worry on repeat. It feels like deep thinking. It feels important. But neither one is actually producing anything. This is the illusion of mental motion, feeling like you're doing something while the thing that actually matters doesn't move an inch. And it's depleting in a very specific way. Your brain's capacity for focused attention works like a limited resource. Psychologists call this ego depletion. Every decision, every distraction, every loop you chase uses a small amount of that resource. So by the time you finally sit down to do the real work, you've already spent the very thing you needed to do it. This is usually where people start blaming themselves, calling themselves lazy, scattered, undisciplined. If this is the part of the video where you're nodding, this is also, not by accident, the exact mechanism the focus reset was built around. Not another willpower trick, a way to stop the resource from leaking out before you even start. The silver lining. But here's what almost nobody tells people like this. A salience network tuned for breadth instead of depth isn't only a liability. It's also why wanderers are often the ones who connect ideas nobody else would have put together, because their mind never stopped scanning long enough to miss the connection. It's why loopers are often the ones who catch the problem everyone else walked past, because their mind held onto the detail everyone else let go of too soon. The same wiring that makes focus difficult is often the wiring behind the most interesting minds in any room. This was never a deficiency. It was a different setting on the exact same machine. The resolution. So what actually helps? Not forcing your attention into submission through sheer will. That fight almost always loses, because you're not arguing with laziness. You're arguing with a system older than language itself. What works instead is giving your salience network a reason to flag one thing as worth its attention, and permission to set everything else down, just for a while. A slow breath, longer exhale than inhale, tells your nervous system there's no danger to scan for right now. Writing down everything pulling at your attention, every loop, every tab you want to open, gives your mind permission to stop chasing it from memory, because it's been written down, not lost. And one single task, bound by a clear timer, gives your salience network exactly what it's been missing: a clear, simple, momentary answer to its only question. This is what deserves your attention right now. Nothing else for the next 20 minutes. You are not broken. You were never lazy. You have a mind that was built to notice everything, and it just needed permission every once in a while to notice one thing at a time. If you ever want the complete version of this, the full system behind training that permission day after day, it's what we built the Focus Reset and the 21-day challenge for. No pressure. It'll be there when you're ready. For now, just remember this the next time you sit down to work. It was never about trying harder. It was always about understanding the mind you actually have.